बता दीजिएगा। Hello students, UPSC 2024 Mains examination is over now, and the GS paper and essay paper has already been conducted by the UPSC. And here I'm to discuss about the GS paper 2 and especially the governance section here, right? This is Dr.Bijendra jha at Plutus IS, and we'll discuss the governance paper, governance section of the GS paper 2. And if we see the governance paper, now if you see question is not hard basically. From the governance section, question was from very much from the class notes which we have and I have taught to students, and it was very much easy, right? There was one question from the current affair parts, right? And of course that question was related to governance, and let me travel you along with the questions, and then we will begin our discussion on each question one by one. Now let me see. Now if you look at question, right, now if you see the question, now the two question was from you have that one should write in 150 words. So two questions were very much short question, and four question was a longer question. So if you look at the first question, now it talks about public charitable trust, right, have potential to make India's development more inclusive, and they relate to certain public vital issues, right? So it's talking about the public charitable trust, right, have a potential to to make India's development more inclusive, and can resolve certain public vital issues, right? Now comment. So you have to make a commentary that what is public charitable trust, right, and then what are the potential for India's development, including inclusion of more socially disadvantaged group, as well as the inclusion of the poor, right, and what are the vital issues that actually it has potential to resolve. So first question was basically to write in 150 words, and that was very easy. Now look at the second question, the doctrine of democratic governance. The doctrine of democratic governance basically focus on participation, right, accountability, transparency, right, role of law, but transparency, information sharing, right, make it necessary that public perception of the integrity and commitment of the civil servants becomes absolutely positive. Now discuss. Now simply here you have to discuss about the how doctrine of democratic governance make it necessary for the public, for the making public perception more positive towards the government servants, right, and their commitment to the public service. Now, so if you look at these two questions was actually in 150 words, and if you look at the question number third, what are the aims and objective of recently passed and enforced the Public Examination Prevention of Unfair Means Act 2024. This law was very popular, and that was passed in June 2024, right? And the purpose was to prevent the unfair means, corruption, paper leakages, and also to enhance credibility of the government public examination, right? So the question is very much directly, right? What are the aims and objectives of recently passed and enforce the Public Examination Act 2024. Now the second part of the examination is whether university or state board examination two are covered under the act or not. But basically you have to talk about whether state examination board or the university examination has been included in this act or not. Now this is the longer question. Now look at the fourth question, right? Now it is talking about the citizen charter. Now question is, the citizen charter has been a landmark initiative in ensuring citizen-centric administration, right? citizen-centric administration, but it is yet to reach its full potential, right? Identify the factors hindering realization of its promises and suggest measures to overcome them. Now this again is a longer question. Now it is talking about citizen charter, right? And what are the issues with citizen charter? Basically, that's so be right. So these are the two basic questions, right? And if you look at the third question, in a crucial domain like public health care system, right, Indian state should play a vital role to contain the adverse impact of marketization of health system. Basically, suggest some measures through which the state can enhance reach of public health care at the grassroots level. So again, this is a longer question, right? And the sixth is e-governance. Now, e-governance is not just about routine application of digital technology in service delivery process. It is much about the multifarious interaction for ensuring transparency and accountability. In this context, evaluate the role of interactive service model of e-governance. Right now, if you look at government has started, Sarkar Aapke Dwar initiative, government deliver services at doors, right? So that is an interactive service model of e-governance, right? Now you just apply and then government will provide you services at the door. Now look at this question one by one, right? Now if you see the question number first, right? The public charitable trust have the potential to make India's development more inclusive, right, as they relate to certain vital public issues. Now you have to talk about public charitable trust. Right? What are the public charitable trust? Now if you look at the multiple organs come under the public charitable trust, like NGO is also, right, public charitable trust. Now if you look at self-help group is also charitable trust. Then if you look at, and these all trusts are basically civil society groups somewhere, right, and they are registered under the 1882 Charitable Trust Act, right? Trust Act, they are registered under this act. So with the introduction, now write about potential to make, right? So in India's development, so potential of charitable trust in India's development, potential of public charitable trust, public charitable trust in India's development. In India's development. Now what are the potential? Now if you look at, there are multiple, right, not on one. Now first if you look at the development of healthcare system, right? Now so if you look at the health, for health development, healthcare development, right? Healthcare development. Now if you look at, there are many NGOs or many organizations which are involved in healthcare development in many areas, especially in backward areas, right? Now second is education. They are also engaged in education, right? Education and promotion of quality, promotion of inclusion of socially disadvantaged group. Disadvantaged groups, right? Now then if you look at the third is women empowerment. Women empowerment. Now look at several NGOs or self-help group, NGOs, self-help group, right? Or if you look at charitable trust, like for example, this Waqf board, right? Waqf board, right? They are engaged in women empowerment, right? The women empowerment and the other work. Now, fourth, if you look at eradication of poverty, eradication of poverty, right? Fourth, inclusion of SCs, STs, right, and women in India's development. India's development. Now, for example, the multiple example is self-help group. Now, how self-help group has actually, included, women, SC, ST in India's development. Now, fourth is, removal of child abuse. Bachpan Bachao, protection of children. Protection of children from abuse. From abuse, right? Now, okay. Now then, if you look at now human development, Now, if you look at many trusts are engaged in skill development, right? Human development. Then the next point you can make skill development. Right? Skill development. Now then you conclude that the public charitable trusts have potential to make India's social, economic and political development, right? And they play a vital role in India's development and deal with the vital issues, right, for India's social, economic and political development, including human, right? So this way one should finish the answer and then move to the other, right? Now you know that very much you have limited time and limited words to write, right? So use just keyword, key points, key things in your answer. Now let me see the second question, right? The second question is the doctrine of democratic governance, right? You all must have known that what is democratic decentralization, what is democratic governance, right? And that has the idea came up in 1990 through the idea of good governance, right? And make it necessary that public perception of the integrity and commitment of the public servants becomes absolutely positive. Discuss. Now write about the public perception of this about the civil servants, right? So write about the public perception of the civil servants, right? And then you come to the democratic idea of democratic doctrine of democratic governance. Right? Democratic governance. And now talk on what are the major point in democratic governance, right? For example, talk about accountability, right? Transparency, rule of law, participation, inclusion, right? Inclusion, then prevention of corruption or poor governance, right? These are the doctrine of the democratic governance, right? Then you then talk about the challenges with the India's democratic the civil services, right? The challenges before civil servants in India. Now if you look at challenges, now several challenges we can see, right? Several challenges. Now first challenge is rectapism, right? Rectapism, right? Now second challenge is corruption. Corruption. Now third is opaqueness. Opaqueness, right? Fourth is lack of faith among the people. Among people, right? The fifth is, right, the colonial mentality. Colonial mentality. Now come to the idea. Relate to this idea of democratic governance with the commitment of the civil servants, right? Now, if you look at civil servants, should rely on the idea of democratic governance, which includes transparency, accountability, participation, inclusion, linking with the community-based groups, right? Following the rule of law, right? Following the constitutional morality, right? And connecting with the socially disadvantaged group and making India's development forward. And therefore, the idea of democratic governance make it necessary that public perception about of the integrity and commitment of the public servants become absolutely positive, right? So this way one should conclude, answer, and only 150 words you have, and to write. So this should, then you just link between doctrine of democratic governance and civil services, and then conclude, right? Rest is conclusion. Right? This way the question should be handled. Now let me move to the next question, and this is actually bigger question, right? And here it is based on governance as well as the current based governance question. Now question is what are the aims and objects of the recently passed and enforced Public Examination Prevention of Unfair Means Act 2024. Whether university or state board examinations too are covered under the act or not. There are two questions, so you have to divide your answer into parts. So first you talk about the Public Examination Prevention Act, right? The Public Examination Act 2024 passed in June, right? In the wake of a series of examination leak, a series of paper leak, like NEET, NTA, SSC, and so on. Right? Now, question is, what are the aims and objects? Now, write the aims and objectives of the aims and objectives of the Public Examination Act 2024. Public Examination Act 2024. Now first is to define public examination. Right? and it includes multiple examination. It includes UPSC, right, SSC, railway board, right, then medical examination, NEET, that is NEET we've covered, yeah, medical examination, NTA, any examination conducted by NTA, like CUET, right, CUET. So purpose was to define a public examination, and secondly, if you look at purpose was to prevent paper leak. Now if you look at data of the paper leak, right, now here if you look at the data of paper leak, in the 15 states, 41 job, the leaks in the 51 jobs recruitment examination, right, in the 15 states, 41 job recruitments papers had been leaked. Now, so the purpose was actually to prevent paper leak, right? So, in many states, in several states, there had been paper leak, right? That has actually dented on government's credibility. Right, to hold the examination, right. Now third purpose was actually to enhance public trust, right. Now since multiple examination or series of examination has been leaked and the public trust has declined, so government has to increase the public trust. Now fourth was to punish the offender. Right, under the act, if you look at under the Public Examination Act, right, paper, involvement in paper leak, right, by any means involve non-bailable offense. Right. Then so basically to punish the offender, right? The punishment is harsh, right? The punishment includes 5 to 10 years jail or 1 crore, right, financial imposition. Right. Now fifth was making awareness. awareness, right? Now, you know that, you know, it, when the series of public examination had been laid, right? Now, public was actually bothered about whether we are giving examination or that examination will be taken fair or not, right? So basically, the act was passed in order to make awareness. Act was passed to raise awareness. Right? Now, sixth is to conduct fair, free and fair examination. To conduct free and fair examination. Right? So these are the basically objectives of the Public Examination Act 2024. Now come to the later questions, right? Whether university or state board examinations too are covered under the act. Now one should write about the extensiveness of the act, right? The act covers public examination extensively. Public examination extensively, right? Which includes railway examination, right? Second, staff selection election. Staff selection examination, right? Then UPSC, State Public Service Commission, exams and other exams conducted by the state, and other exams conducted by the state, right? Then exams conducted by right NTA like CUET, right? CUET, UG and PG, right? Then NEET, again UG, PG, right? PG. Now you have to write then, although, right? No. Now write about the although, right? The act covers public examination, but it left, state board left other examination out of its ambit, right? Like first you write, right, state board examination, right? School examination, right? University examination, like now you have to mention, now this act left to the state, right? This act left to the respective state to make such a law as the Public Examination Prevention of Unfair Means Act, right? So, and with this you have to end the answers, right? So, this was very much related to current affairs as well as the with governance basically, right? Now, let me move to the next questions. Our next question is, the citizen charters has been landmark initiative in ensuring citizen-centric administration. Now, the simple statement, now one, right? But it is yet to reach its full potential, right? So this is the second part. Now, third part, identify the factors hindering the realization of its promises and suggest measures to overcome them. Now, first introduce with the citizen charter. Right? What is citizen charter? Right? Right? And one can write about its history because citizen charter had actually started its journey from UK, right? And then first you write the purpose of the citizen charter. Purpose of the citizen charter, right? For example, like quality, right? Then value to the public money, right? Service delivery, then time bound delivery of various services, right? So this was the purpose, and one can write about the Indian scenario, right? It was a 1998, right, in All India Chief Minister Conference, All India Chief Ministers Conference, when there was a discussion on that whether all services should be extended to the even those group which are not living on their own land, for example public lands, slums, right, or unauthorized colonies or informal settlement, right? So it was an All India Chief Minister Conference where there was a discussion on service delivery, right? Then you have to write about the 2002, right? In 2002, right, the citizen charter had been taken into citizens charter, right? Charter initiated as a pilot project, right, in India. And finally, in 2005, right, citizen charter has initiated. Right? Now you have a Sarvottam model of citizen charter. Sarvottam model of citizen charter. Right? One can explain this model. Right? One can explain this model and then talk talk about the government of DRPG, Department of Personal and Administration Affairs, right? That actually implemented the citizen charter, right? So one have to write about the government initiative, and there are 600 citizen charters, right, in India, in all over India. In all over India, right? And there are multiple problems, right? And there are several issues with citizen charter. Citizens charter, right? Now, write about the outcome of the citizen charter. Right? Write about the outcome of the citizen charter. Citizens charter, right, in order to explain the second part of the question, but it is yet to reach its full potential. Now we know that citizen charter is not fully implemented, and there are multiple problems, like the babus of public services, they are very reluctant to change their mind, right? They are not fully trained, right, to cope up or accommodate the citizen charter, and right, so that it is not implemented, right? Now secondly is, if you look at the problem, is there is no legal backing in citizen charter, right? There is no legal backing in the citizen charter, right? Then it is poorly implemented, right? The one shoe does not fit to all, right? Because there are citizen charter and there is no diversity, right? And most of the citizen charter has been framed without the connections, without the connecting people, right? So that is the issue, right? So write about what is the outcome. Now talk about the basically related factors hindering realization of these promises. Now what are the factors in which hinders realization of the promises, and suggest some measures to overcome, right? The major factors is the lack of the legal backing, right? Then uniformity in citizen charter. Then it should be then awareness. People are not aware about the rights, right? And then if you look at the language also creates problem, because it is a city which speaks English, but if you look at citizen charter, it is actually framed in and maintained in English language rather than in regional language. And third is there is the mindset of the babus, right? The mindset of the babus has to change. Now suggest some measures. Now what are the measures one can suggest? For example, there should be legal backing, it should be enforceable. Now second, the citizen charter should be framed after the wider consultation with the people, right? People should be the stakeholders in framing the citizen charter, right? And then one can write about there should be constitutional guarantee of the citizen charter, right? Okay. So there should be some suggestions, and then you finish it, right? Now let me move to the next question. And here, if you look at the question is about the public health care system, right? Now in a crucial domain like public health care system, Indian state should play a vital role to contain the adverse impact of marketization, right, of the system. Suggest some measures through which the state can enhance the reach of public health care at the grassroots level. Now, you have to talk about public health care system, system, right? And then talk about the structure of the public healthcare system. If you look at, there are grassroots level of public healthcare system, like Anganwadi, right? Or like health and wellness system, right? Then you talk about the district healthcare system of healthcare system, right? And then talk about the national level health, state level healthcare system, right? And then national level. And then talk about the Indian state, why Indian state should play a vital role. Why Indian state play a vital role in public health system. In public health system. Now give the several reasons why Indian state play a vital role, right? Now then talk about the marketization of health. Then talk about marketization of health system. Healthcare system. Now look at, since 1990, the healthcare system has been marketized, right? There are super specialty hospitals, there are private doctors, private practitioners, right? New hospitals are coming up and they are very costly, right? So one has to write about the marketization. For example, super specialty hospitals, right? Then write about the profit driven healthcare system. Then talk about the insurance or health insurance, right? Especially private health insurance, private health insurance system, right? Now lack of integrity in jobs of in private healthcare system, private health care system. Care system, right? You can give example of pandemic, COVID pandemic. Right? Fine. Okay. Now then write about some measures. What are the measures? Now before measures you talk about the government initiative for the healthcare system, because Indian public healthcare, Indian government has initiated a series of programs to provide health services at the grass level. So talk about government initiative. Government initiative. Right? Here you talk about, there are a series of Matru Bandhana Yojana, which itself is a package of six health services, including immunization, right, nutritions, and so on and so forth, right? Ayushman Bharat, Ayushman Bharat, right, Yojana, then National Health Mission, right, National Health Mission, then Okadi Yojana, right, then Abha number. There are series of then talk about some measures through which a state can enhance the reach of public. Now look at the measures, that second part, measures, right, that can enhance the reach of the public healthcare system at the grassroots level, because there are series of public healthcare, healthcare facilities provided by the government. So one should talk about what are the measures. The first measure is awareness. People are not about the public healthcare system, right? Awareness, especially among SC, ST, right, and poors, women and poor, right, and in socially and educationally backward classes, socially and economically backward areas. Right? Now that awareness is very, very much important. Now second is, taking health camp. Now health camp can be the one of the measures, right, to enhance the reach of the public healthcare at the grassroots level. So if the health care system is located in the city or a small town, that health camp should be organized in villages, so that people should be aware and people should get treated by the doctors, right? So health camp is then using radio, television for awareness, using digital technology for making people aware. Right? Now fourth, taking help of community-based groups, right, or voluntary organization, or civil society groups, or NGO, right, taking help from them to reach the public of the public healthcare at the grassroots level. So just suggest some measures and then answers, right? Now let me talk about the next question, and this is the last question in governance portion. Now the last question is, e-governance is not just about routine application of digital technology in service delivery process, right? It is a multifarious interaction of ensuring transparency and accountability. In this context, evaluate the role of interactive model services of e-governance. Now first you introduce e-governance. Technology-led governance. Now write about the objectives, right? So write about three, at least four objectives, right? Transparency, right? Access to all, right? Then accountability, then information sharing, right? And then come to talk about the example of the e-governance. Example of e-governance, right? And write about the government initiative. Government initiative. Now in government initiative you can make a picture, right, and you can write about government initiative. For example, e-Pathshala, right, or fintech or Swayam, right, or if you look at e-Abha, right, then if you look at e-Agri, right, e-commerce, so multiple examples that one. Now you write the e-governance is not just about the routine application of the services in delivery process, right? It has much about the multifarious interaction of ensuring transparency and accountability. Now write about how this transparency and accountability is actually ensured through the e-governance. So write about transparency and accountability issue. Transparency and accountability issues in e-governance. Right. Now look at we can give example the how e-governance had reduced corruption, right, or leakages of money, right, or how it has increased accountability of the people, and then how it includes participations. So 4 5 transparency and accountability issue can be included, and then talk about the interactive service model at great length, right? Interactive service model, right? Write about what is this model, right? This model is something, right, that each state government is providing services at door, public services at door, right? And there are a series of services like PDS, like medicine, like card, like various documents that government provides at at the door, and it has a good result in ensuring transparency and accountability, because it erases intermediaries, right, and it curbs corruptions, right? So write about they evaluate the interactive service model in that way, and then the answers with a conclusion, right? So with this this is a summary, this is whatever I have presented, which is a very much a summary of the answers one should suppose to write, right? And answer is vary from person to person, right? Answer vary from the evaluator to evaluator, answer vary from, but yes, key points, key things that should be in your answer, right? So with this I will stop here. See you.